Action Park
Media.
Let's get a mic check here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Episode 7. No gruffs given. There are no consequences. Only what is necessary. There are no consequences. Only the illusion of consequence. I want to repeat those two. I chose two. I could have chose many. These are quotes from movies. I don't know which ones. Doesn't matter. There are no consequences. Only what is necessary. There are no consequences. Only the illusion of consequence. We have a packed show for you today. I'd like to introduce Michael.
Hello, Sean.
And as well as Dropbox Dave, who's in the booth. Dropbox Dave.
Dave?
Dropbox Dave is Dropbox Dave. You don't know who he is, but we've done a lot of productive shit in here today as far as helping Dropbox Dave with his life, okay? And Dropbox Dave, he has a good life, all right? He's got a dog, Theo, who loves him. It's a whole thing. Anyways, where do I start? I want to start with the UFC because it was just an incredible, what a fight weekend. Michael took over streaming duties on Saturday night because I had Nash all day. It was the day before Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day weekend, so I was really trying to chip in as much as I could. So I had a long day, and I was gassed. I just couldn't do it. So Michael took over the Patreon stream for the game. How did it go, by the way?
I thought it was great.
Great.
Yeah.
What's interesting is it's not just about me, right? It's these guys, and more so the guys, the patrons and Michael. Not me, because I'm not on the computer as much, but there's a real community and a lot of messaging during the game, and it's like a mix of the old school chat rooms versus modern day life with the streaming. It's very interesting. I highly recommend you sign up. All right. Outside of the fact that it's $6 and you would be helping the No Gruffs Given universe moving forward. You probably learn a bunch of stuff, and I think that everyone involved really enjoys doing it.
I learned something.
What?
On the stream on Saturday that I was saying Ettinger, and I was corrected in the stream, which made me laugh about your Trubda.
Yeah, Trubda.
I have an Ottinger.
His name is Trubda.
Truba.
Is it Truba?
Yeah.
So the D is silent?
I don't think there's even a D.
Great. Well, you learn something new every day. Episode 7, No Gruffs Given, UFC weekend. So going into the weekend, I would say it was probably the most excited I've been for a UFC fight, okay? Headliner, Oliveira, Gaethje. Now, Gaethje has had an interesting career, right? He came out of the gates swinging, literally, early on, sort of a highlight machine, either getting knocked out or knocking out. Now, he's turned into a real fighter. He's turned into a master of his craft. I thought this was going to be one of the greatest fights we've ever seen. Now, it could still be. I mean, I'm still trying to digest it. It was what a fight. Didn't get out of the first round, all right? We had that fight. Then we had the Tony Ferguson coming back against Michael Chandler, which, I haven't been a UFC fan for long enough to understand the whole Ferguson allure, the greatness of the great Tony Ferguson. But I do know that he's a bit of a wild card and a wild man, and he acts real weird at press conferences, so you're always going to get something out of him. Stylistically, fight-wise, I didn't really understand it, because I know what Chandler is. You don't really know what Ferguson is, but also you didn't know where Ferguson was. Was he going to be ready to fight? He hadn't fought in a year. I think he had lost 7 in a row or something crazy. So that was a fight. Wow. All right. Then we got Thug Rose versus Esparza. She's getting married this weekend or this upcoming weekend. She's got a lot going on. I'll start with that fight. It was the worst fight I have ever seen. Okay. So here's what happens. You put a game plan together. Trevor Whitman, who is Rose's coach, the guy's a master, Usman, Gaethje. All right. Esparza, she's a wrestler. Okay. She wrestles. That's all she does. She's not a striker. she doesn't do anything other than wrestle. All right. So you go into it and we go, okay, here's what's probably going to happen. Rose is going to wait and she's going to make sure she can defend the takedown, and then she's going to take the fight to Carla. Or she's just going to react from Esparza attempting the takedown, and Rose is going to beat her up that way. And Esparza is probably, I don't know, she's going to try and take the fight to Rose because that's the only way she's got a chance. Now, I don't know if they changed their game plan, Esparza's team, but what we saw was essentially Rose and Whitman and Pat Barry, her fiance/husband, they probably said, you're going to be patient. You're going to let the fight come to you. You're not going to chase the fight. So she comes out the first round. I've never seen a first round like it in the UFC. I think maybe they had 2 exchanges where they didn't land any punches. 5 minutes. This is a title fight. 5 times 5. So now you get into the second round. The same thing happens. All right. Now, you can see in the corner, Barry saying one thing, Whitman saying another. You know, Barry wants Rose to take the fight to her now. They could tell, like, Rose threw one punch and it left a mark on Carla's forehead. Like, I can't even wrap my head around this. What happened was Rose ran out of rounds. Not only did she run out of rounds, she didn't run out of rounds because she started and she just ran out of rounds. She didn't even start. And it's really hard to explain this fight. What happened was Rose was a champion. But when you're a champion, the level of what comes with that is holding the belt. And you're seeing how difficult the UFC is to hold a belt. I mean, it's proving, like, that's why we're going to talk about Oliveira. This guy's, what he's doing is incredible. It's otherworldly. One of the biggest disappointments I think I've ever seen, and the one thing I think with Rose is that they're going to learn from this, no question. She's going to rematch Carla, and I think she's going to just take the fight to her and fucking dominate her. She couldn't take her down. Carla couldn't take Rose down. Rose didn't throw any punches. Rose, to me, is on the verge of being a Naomi Osaka. She's fragile, right? She comes out, she tells herself she's the best. It's like there's something that fucking scares me about that whole situation. She'll either come back and be a champ, or she'll come back and she'll never be a champ again. I think that's where it is right now with her. Now, I should have started with the Chandler fight because that was the fight that happened before. So what happened was Chandler gives us a monumental fight. And then we have Rose's fight, which is the biggest letdown I've ever, it takes the wind out of your sails. You're like, why did I buy this fucking card? You start to question, right? I'm
Absolutely.
sure you're like, what did I do here? And then luckily, the championship fight turns out to be a real barn burner. Michael Chandler, first of all, I've never seen a guy, he's like Mighty Mouse, or there was a Nintendo game, Mighty Man, or it was this like Iron Man guy that was really, I can't remember what it was called, but Chandler, I've never seen a guy so ripped, so shredded, even post weight cut, post weigh-in, when he filled himself back up with the fluids, him after the fight looked like, fucking, the guy's a specimen. I mean, whatever he does in the gym, and he is an unbelievable athlete, condition-wise. And I do want to talk about Gaethje because in the lead up, the UFC does the Embedded series, right? And they showed Gaethje. They do a run on Saturdays, and it's at Red Rocks in Colorado, and it's a 15-minute run. And like, I watched Gaethje run, and he doesn't look like, what's interesting about these UFC fighters, I don't think they're actually well-rounded athletes. Like, I don't think that they can really run. I don't think they're great athletes outside of the skill of martial arts, because watching Gaethje run I was like in fucking shock, going, this guy's one of the greatest fighters in the world, and I'm watching him run up a hill, 15-minute run. He was tired, but his running technique is just awful. He runs like a duck. I mean, it was ridiculous. That's not the point. The point is that Rose, she fucked up. It was a total fuck up. 2 days later, she sent out a tweet saying she was embarrassed, or it was just, she can't believe what happened. You can't leave it up to the judges no matter what. And you can't come out in a fight and not fight. You have to fight. Like at some point, I'm thinking, okay, Rose is a champion. The start of the fourth, she's going to say, fuck this, I'm ready to go. I'm going to take it to her. Like, I'm going into the fucking fire and I'm going to fight the dragon now. I've avoided damage for the first 3 rounds. Now I got to turn it on. It didn't happen. And, you know, I think there was something between Barry and Whitman. The respect, they obviously love each other, but Trevor is very practical, and he just probably believed, like, you know, Rose is going to pull this out somehow. But she didn't. And now she loses pay-per-view points for the next fight. I mean, it was a big money fucking mistake. All right. So it was wild. But Chandler, coming back to Chandler, guy looked like incredible shape. Ferguson looked like he was ready to go. He started training at night, and it was part of the pre-package the UFC put together. Like, they showed, you used to be able to see Tony Ferguson visible in Orange County training for a fight. Then he goes to nights, right? So Tony's smart enough. He changes the mystique. He changes the entertainment aspect. He's coming in with a fresh angle. Very wise, right? He comes into the fight, first round. It was a great first round, right?
Absolutely. And I'm a big Tony Ferguson fan, so I was happy to see him in the fight just out of the gate.
Yeah, they went back and forth. He cut him with one of his unorthodox elbows. But at the end of the first round, you could have said that fight was going in any direction. And if anyone knows Chandler's fights, like, if you get out of the first round with Chandler, this guy's he'll go the distance. He's got cardio. He'll take punches. It's a fucking war. All right. So I was very excited going into the second round. I don't know when the knockout happened, but it happened fairly quickly into the second round. Michael Chandler hit Tony Ferguson with the nastiest fucking kick I have ever seen. It made Roses on Zhang Li look like a cupcake party. Holy fuck, did he knock him out. Ferguson, out cold, lands on his face, arms to his side. Done. Snoring in another planet. I couldn't believe it. Everyone's in shock, including Chandler. Chandler with the fucking backflips again. All right. This time he didn't do it off of the top of the octagon, which obviously he learned his lesson great. It's very dangerous. You don't know if Tony Ferguson's dead, one. And you start doing backflips on his grave, that can get a little dicey. I get it, the adrenaline, but you gotta fucking dial it in enough to keep it together. And you gotta act cool. And you know what? Backflips in the middle of the octagon are not cool. And I like Chandler a lot. It's almost impossible not to like the guy. I believe, and I'm not sure, do you assume that his wife can't have kids? Is that why they keep adopting children?
Yeah, I don't know the story on that at all.
Either do I. But they've adopted kids. The guy's a fucking all-American stud.
Did you see when, right after it, he was backflipping, the cut man came out to grab him, and he like two-hand shoved his cut man.
Well, the cut man's not his cut man, but it's the UFC cut man.
Yeah.
But what he was like, he didn't want him to steal.
Two hands like pushed him like, get away from me.
Like, I'm not done celebrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chandler's a bit of again, you have no idea what the adrenaline feels like in that situation. Like, these guys are dangerous. And I'll talk about Oliveira in a second, because after he won, he looked like that guy could single-handedly take out a fucking army of 100 people. I mean, that guy is a vicious human. So Chandler, his call-out. All right, he gets the mic with Rogan. And you got to understand, with the UFC, this is all strategic, right? You win a fight, you got to be ready for your call out. Who are you going to call out? How are you going to do it? This is how you connect the dots and become a superstar. It's so funny, man. These guys all want to fight fucking Conor. And I got to tell you, I think Michael Chandler would destroy Conor McGregor. I don't think there's a fight in the UFC right now for Conor McGregor to survive through. These guys are all fucking killers, certainly in the lightweight division. I don't know if he can get through a round with any of these guys. I'm serious. I mean, Poirier fucking dismantled him the last two fights. And the jump between the Poirier fights and what I'm seeing this weekend with these guys is through the roof. Fastest growing sport in the world, fastest developing athletes in the world also. It's a science and it's incredible. These guys are vicious machines. So he really does a number with the call out, okay? I liked it. Great. So now we've got two fights on the card that have been, one's been a fucking legendary forever highlight reel. The other, a highlight reel for the wrong reasons. Cowboy Cerrone's fight got canceled. We don't really know what happened.
They said illness. And
he got food poisoning.
Yeah.
I guess he got food poisoning.
They're going to find a way to get him on an upcoming card real quick. Try to reschedule that.
I mean, so Cowboy has a new movie coming out with Gina Carano that the Daily Wire produced. So I believe the Daily Wire put up the money. It's their movie. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Dinesh D'Souza just put out 2,000 Mules, and he made $1 million this weekend in like, I don't know, 40 or 50 theaters. I'm not sure. Check the theater count on that Dinesh premiere. So Cowboy's got a movie that is basically Top Gun and this Cerrone movie are the featured movies for the weekend. Like they're promoting the movies. They paid for slots. It's kind of incredible. He's fucking headlining the movie with Gina Carano. It's a Western. So it was disappointing Cowboy didn't get to fight. I think that was the weekend. Cowboy had his big coming out party. He's going to be an actor. Maybe he fights one more time. I don't think he needs to. I think he should just fucking make the transition. Because if you don't know, Cowboy, the last 3 or 4 fights we've seen him in, he's a fucking punching bag. Yeah. He's gone. He's done. He gets hit. He gets folded. It's out. All right? Make the transition. You did what you needed to do this weekend. And trust me, these guys want to become actors. Don't kid yourself. They all want to become The Rock at a certain point. And what's interesting about these guys is these guys are certified killers. They're not fucking fake pretend jumping off the top ropes entertainers. These guys are killers that could make the transition, but they got to put the work in. Just a little side note on that whole thing. All right.
In 12 hours, 2,000 Mules grosses more than $1 million. That's like the number that they're putting out.
Do we know how many theaters it was in? That's what I asked you to check, Michael. No, I told you it made $1 million. I want to know how many fucking theaters it was in. Did you work out today?
I did not.
Did you work out Saturday or Sunday?
I'm falling off, Sean.
You just started.
I know.
You can't fucking just start and fall off.
I understand.
So officially, you haven't really started. All right, fine. I'm serious though. You got to get you're getting caught up in this fast life out here in California. You're too busy. You got too much stuff going on. I need you to dial it back. You just got a new job, right? Are you starting a new project?
Yeah, new project. Two new projects.
Are you allowed to say?
It's going to be a competition show on ABC.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even know that they finalized the name, but I'll be working on that and Amazing Race.
Oh, Amazing Race.
And
great.
I love those folks at the Amazing Race. It's a great team. So
it's a great show, great product.
I found the number. It's 270 theaters across the United States.
Okay, so so the average is like if you get on 1,400 screens, that's probably a good thing. How many was it? 200?
270.
270. All right, so you made $1 million. All right, so Oliveira Gaethje. So the weigh-in. All right, the weigh-in. Oliveira doesn't make weight. He doesn't make weight by 0.5 pounds. Apparently, the fucking and Dana went on the record and talked about this. Like, we need to put a security guard with the scale from now on. Yeah, like that fucking scale should be locked in a vaulted room. No one's ever thought about that there was because somebody fucked with the scale and the scale was off. I'm convinced that was the case.
Yeah, they were switching from kilos or something like that.
The night before or the morning of. So the night before, they weigh themselves before they go to bed. And if they've made weight the night before, I guess it's an automatic that they make weight the next morning because you lose weight at night. Somebody fucked with the scale. Oliveira gets on. He doesn't make weight. He has an hour to cut half a pound. Now, most people think half a pound to cut. What happens is, one, you have no liquid left to actually cut out of your body. Two, you can't get the sweat going. You can't get the sweat going because there's not really any liquid to pull from. Like, you got to think these guys are this is where they're at. They're at a point where even if they wanted to sweat at that moment in time, they have no more liquid in their body to sweat. So you fasted yourself of all liquid. That's why they get lean and they look fucking super gaunt. And hopefully by fight time, they don't. Oliveira still looked gaunt at fight time. So whatever. He made weight in my eyes, but he didn't, so he has to vacate the title once the fight starts. He did get pay-per-view points for this fight because prior to the fight starting, he was the champ. So, but the next fight, he doesn't get pay-per-view points. Huge fucking money. Mistake, all right? Fine. We get into the fight. Oliveira is a stone-cold killer. This guy is the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, in my opinion. I think he's the GOAT. Kamaru, John Jones, whoever you want to. Nobody is like this guy. This guy had every reason to lose that fight. The gods were lining up a loss, okay? It was just in the cards. Gaethje is fresh. He comes in. He's got the opportunity of a lifetime. But as soon as that fight starts, you throw all that out the window. And that's why Oliveira is a true dog, because he still said to himself, I'm not leaving. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to have to work back all this shit, hard money. I'm still going to win this fight. I'm going home a champion. The fight doesn't get out of the first round, okay? They trade dropping each other back and forth. Oliveira drops Gaethje, Gaethje drops Oliveira, and then Gaethje drops Oliveira again. Gaethje cut Oliveira with a cut that I think 99% of humans are in the emergency room getting like operated on. This guy gets cut, and I've seen it a couple times now. It's almost like it gets, when he gets cut that bad, you know he's totally in the zone. I've never seen a guy be able to bounce back like Do Bronx. Okay, this guy's this guy is deadly. All right. What did we talk about last weekend? If he doesn't finish this fight and there's an opportunity, Oliveira gets his back, it's game over.
Yep.
And what's funny is like Gaethje actually got out of it the first time, and all it did was just give Oliveira another opportunity to take his back in a different manner. He fucking puts him in a choke, rear naked choke, and he taps him out. I don't think I've ever seen a fight that happened so quickly, that was so devastating, that I wanted to see go further in my life. I mean, I don't know. I'm almost speechless at so after Oliveira wins the fight, did he not look like a scary human being?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely determined. He was upset. I think he was upset with himself. I think he was upset with the team. I think he was there to make sure that the belt didn't leave with anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, I also wonder, like, it's so funny these guys talk about, and I guess it's true, like, sometimes you only get, or generally you get one shot at a title shot, right? So, like, Gaethje could be thinking right now, and everyone thinks, like, Justin Gaethje's not going to be the lightweight champion ever again because there's so many guys coming at it. I'm not sure who the fuck can Oliveira fight again? Who can he fight next outside of a Chandler, a Gaethje, Khamzat?
Khamzat's a little bit bigger.
Oh, he's not a lightweight?
I think he does 170.
Oh, so that's the 155ers.
But okay, so these guys are going up to 170 too. All want to fight Conor, right? So they're kind of
right. But Conor can fight at 155 also. So Chandler said, "I'll fight you at 170. I'll go up to 170."
Yeah.
Who's the top 10 at 155? Okay. Because honestly, I want to see Gaethje Oliveira again for the title fight. I mean, Justin, fuck man, he threw 3 or 4 punches so hard that he knocked himself down. Okay, and I'm sure Trevor Whitman, they talked about it afterwards and going into it. Justin, you need to stay composed. You can't fucking load it up like that. You don't need to. All right, you can knock out without the 200% load up. Just your 100% load up, and that's how he caught him. I want to see that fight again. I don't know. Give me the top 5.
Oliveira, Poirier, Gaethje, Makachev, Dariush.
Oliveira against Makachev or Darnush, he fucking wipes the floor with those guys because it's essentially wrestlers against wrestlers. But the problem is Oliveira strikes like a Chandler and a Gaethje. This guy punches better, if not as good, as every single guy in the 155 division. And did Oliveira call out Conor McGregor?
Yeah, everybody did.
So,
I mean, everybody wants a piece of that.
of course, Oliveira wants to fight Conor. Oliveira would fucking put Conor in a body bag. I mean, I'm not discounting. I'm a Conor McGregor guy. Do I think Conor McGregor has what he needs to come back and fight? I don't think. No, there's 2 or 3 people on the planet that can go around with this guy. And I don't think it's Conor. Do I want to see that fight? Not as much as Gaethje Oliveira too. All right. I don't want to see Oliveira fucking just destroy Conor so that just for the build up, the lead up, they can't even talk shit to each other. Oliveira needs to learn English. I mean, he's a superstar without even speaking fucking English.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that guy could speak English? He's got no interest in it. He's living in his own bubble in Brazil. It's unbelievable, the whole thing. I was blown away. I want more of it, I want more of it. I don't know. And it's like, why can't, Oliveira, who could beat him at 175 or 170? Give me the top 5 of 170. I mean, I don't know how this guy, I guess he's just not interested in being the champ, right?
Kamaru Usman's the champ. Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, Khamzat Chimaev, Gilbert Burns.
Imagine seeing an Oliveira Colby fight. I mean, that would be an interesting fight. Is that so? They're that much bigger? I mean, I guess you just don't even know because these 155ers, just because you cut to 155 doesn't mean you're not, 5 pounds away from a Colby in real life. It's the fastest growing sport in the world, and I don't think anything is going to stop it. I want to show you a tweet. Drake's a bit of a savage. I got to tell you, he's a bit of a savage.
You're talking about his bet?
His what?
His bet?
No. Let me tell me if so. Drake posts something, or it was a comment. He goes, "Imagine your son makes the league, and he's Ja or Melo or Lonzo. All you can do is be elated and competitive and over supportive, and it's the rite of passage that the OGs talk shit. I know I'm gonna be this way even if my son is in a Rubik's Cube competition. Some random guy trolls Drake's comment and goes, at Champagne Poppy, your son probably playing with ghostwriters. I guess that's a thing so Drake uses ghostwriters and doesn't say that they're writers.
Yeah.
So Drake responds by adding this guy and going, I just followed your girl because she's probably miserable and needs some excitement in her life. The girl then posts DMs Drake is sending this chick. So do I think Drake will try and romantically bed this guy's wife at some point? Absolutely. Do I think that immediately got into the guy's mind on a level that you can't even ever imagine? Absolutely. That, in my opinion, to date, has been the ultimate troll I've ever seen. A celebrity troll back a troll. Just fucking lights out work. Really incredible. We're gonna get to some hockey stuff. I got a bunch of this was an incredible. The Daily Mail, if you don't follow them on Instagram, you should. Their headlines they essentially write the article in their headlines. This is a good one. Biden sets up disinformation board to combat midterm fake news, headed by Russia expert who called Hunter's laptop a Trump campaign product and said she shudders to think about Elon Musk taking over. I could have had a whole fucking... So the Department of Homeland Security has now created a board, a disinformation board, which they say is not going to monitor American citizens, but it's going to lay the framework for policing disinformation. I don't ask me. I'm not even going to get into it, okay? Because this administration is off the rails. All right. I don't care. And at this point, Republicans are fucking useless because Republicans can't even, there is going to be a red wave because the people, no matter who you are, I think at this point have decided I am going to have to vote Republican because I want to live in a safe country where my dollar that I earn is worth $1. And if you don't see what's going on right now, you're blind and I can't help you. But the Biden administration is destroying this country. This country is a company, but they're destroying this country. All right. And the fucking middle class, hardworking people, you are the ones that are getting pilfered. Okay. The rich are getting richer, and the shit that's coming out, when are you going to just put your foot down? This is about us enjoying our lives and working hard and not getting fucked over by our government. And I'm going to get into a global government, which is coming. The guy that fixed Hunter's laptop, you've seen it. All right. The guy's a wild dude. John Paul Mac Isaac. That's his name. He wears a beret like he's in the Civil War. The guy's got a glass eye. He's a wild fucking dude. He is now suing Adam Schiff, CNN, Politico, and Daily Beast. This guy's a beauty. And he had to close his store. He's gonna win. He's gonna win these lawsuits. Justice is prevailing. The Real Anthony Fauci, written by the great Robert F. Kennedy. All right. I bought the audiobook. It's a little bit expensive. It's $29.99. You can buy it on iBooks, wherever you buy books. I bought the audiobook. I'm in the first chapter. Essentially, RFK, if you guys remember, I interviewed RFK. Incredibly smart. I mean, comes from that family. Listen, that family's done some corrupt, shady things, but RFK, this guy is fucking on the ball, all right? He writes this book. Just a couple of things out of the first chapter I want to get into. September 9th, 2021, Dr. Tony Fauci basically goes on the record trying to justify why children should get vaccinated. And he does that by saying that he remembers how excited he was for the days that he got his measles and mumps vaccine back in the day. Like he remembers those. He says this to the American people. He goes on the record and says, get your kids vaccinated. I remember getting vaccinated at school for measles and mumps. The only problem is that Dr. Fauci, when he was eligible for the measles and mumps vaccine, it would have been in the 1940s. The measles and mumps vaccine didn't exist until 1963, and then he would have got his second one in 1967. So that was just a little interesting fucking bold-faced lie that he lied to the American people about. Outside of the masks and all that, just a factual lie that he just lied to us about, okay? Fauci was wildly inaccurate in his estimation on deaths. So much so that his modeling overestimated deaths by 525%. That was in the early days of the pandemic. So I'm thinking to myself, why was he so off? He wanted to scare the shit out of everybody so that everyone went and got vaccinated. I mean, that seems clear at this point. The CDC admitted 6% of COVID deaths were in healthy people. So out of all the deaths, and the total number is still up for argument, only 6% of the people that died with COVID-19 were healthy people, okay? They locked us up for 2 years. I want somebody to fucking do a book or a TV show on all the people that lost their businesses, you know? People that today now are working for somebody else because they lost their business, their credit is decimated, they're in bankruptcy, their life is fucking ruined because of these lockdowns. Fauci never complained at one point ever about the CDC's decision to not perform autopsies on people that had died from vaccines. So you would think that for sure the people that we doctors presumed died because of, or doctors presumed people died because of the vaccines, that we would have performed autopsies on their bodies. We would think that Dr. Fauci, the leading health doctor in the United States, would have said, absolutely, we need to autopsy those bodies. That didn't happen. Again, Medicaid paid $39,000 to every single hospital for every single person that they put on a ventilator. So for every hospital, whoever they put on a ventilator, if they put somebody on a ventilator in the early days, they got a check for $39K. Okay? I mean, what does that tell you, right? We also know that people were dying on ventilators, and they were, what I've been told, that they were being poisoned to death by remdesivir. And, it's all starting to come out. The reason I'm telling you this is because Pfizer had to now release their second tranche of 9,000 documents. They did that on Friday, which was the same day as the Supreme Court, soon to be Supreme Court Roe versus Wade was leaked. Again, let me say to you, there are no coincidences, only what is necessary. There are no coincidences, only the illusion of coincidence. All right? There's a reason. I'm going by my madness. There's a reason for this. The average Democrat during the height of the pandemic believed that 50% of COVID patients required hospitalization. It was actually 4%. Smoking doubled your chance of dying with COVID. 60% of COVID patients were vitamin D deficient. All right? Not only that, the board, let me tell you something. On April 30th, the Canadian College of Physicians tried to de-license any doctor who prescribed vitamin D. Like, you can't make this shit up, all right? You cannot make this up. That's the Canadian College of Physicians. They're in charge of, like, regulating our doctors in Canada. They were going to de-license any doctor that prescribed vitamin D to somebody, all right? 78% of COVID patients were overweight, and the average person during the lockdown gained 2 pounds per month. What do you think about that? Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm proof.
You put the pounds on, right? You need to get them off. Yeah. That was not a reminder. I'm looking at you because I'm pulling for you,
but
Michael.
Yes, it's absolutely true.
Johnson & Johnson. They just pulled their vaccine, I believe. I didn't even get into it that much, but the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is ultimately, it's either been pulled or something's going on with it because it caused 9 deaths. So they're admitting to the fact that 9 people who got the J&J shot died. Now, a lot of the airline pilots got the J&J vaccine because they wanted it one and done. Now, these guys are flying commercial airlines. We talked about the one who went into cardiac arrest. I mean, it's all coming out. Here's why I'm talking about it. It's because people are going through all these Pfizer documents. The 9,000 that just came out, all right? The total of, I believe, 90,000 pages are coming to us. They tried to hold that off for 75 years. Why is that? Okay? Let me ask you, why is that? All right? I got a few more things, and then we're going to get into hockey. The Pfizer trials, all right? This is what we've now learned out of the 90,000 pages that were court-ordered. The Pfizer trials, phase 1, 2, or 3, first of all, they weren't human trials, all right? Second of all, there was no pregnant women used in the trials. They used pregnant rats, okay? What we're now coming to learn is that certainly female soldiers, they're having birth abnormalities. It's up 800%. I don't want to say anything, okay, to anyone moving forward, but I just want you to if you have people that you care about, that you love, that are, do some fucking research on this stuff, because it's not going away. Here's the other reason. This isn't going away, okay? And I want to talk to you about that for a second, all right? Because there's something very important coming up. I just found this out today and it's wild. On May 27th in Geneva, Switzerland, the World Health Organization, okay, their parent company, which is the World Health Assembly, is holding a vote that's going to impact 99.4% of the people in the world. That's 193 nations, all right? All nations, what they want to do is they want to pass a vote that all nations of the earth cede their sovereignty over national health care decisions to the WHO, okay? So, and the Biden administration has signed off on that. Their representative at this meeting is going to vote yes. What that means, in my opinion, and I haven't got too deep into this, that essentially means that 193 nations, including America, Canada, Australia, are giving the WHO full autonomy to control our sovereignty. So if they ever decide that they want to lock us down again, it's not our states, it's not our federal government that can even decide. It's the WHO. This is something that could be enforced, because if the Biden administration or whatever administration in office are trying to take over New World Order, well, now they have the WHO who can enforce it under UN. Okay? I want you to look into this a little bit more, because I'm not doing it any justice, or I'm not doing it enough justice. There's 26 million people locked down in Shanghai. Call fucking Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy. All right? If you want to put a stop to this, find the numbers. I should have had them. I had them, but this is happening May 27th. Maybe I'm a crazy person, but I honestly, I don't think I am, because I heard somebody very smart explain this. This is a global government, and this is one of the first steps in these crazy fucking radicals to execute it. And I'm almost in a dream world right now. There's this doctor. The guy's a real fucking beauty, all right? His name is Dr. Robert Jackson. Dr. Robert Jackson is a rheumatologist. Apparently, rheumatologists are few and far between. They're hard to come by. Dr. Jackson says 40% of his 3,000 vaccinated patients reported vaccine injury. 5% of them are still injured, okay? Dr. Robert Jackson has been a physician for 35 years. In his practice, there are more than 5,000 patients, about 3,000 of whom got vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccines. What makes him unusual is that he is not afraid to speak out about what he has seen in his patients. This is because he's too valuable to fire. Jackson said never in his career has he seen anything like what he's seen now. 40% of his vaccinated patients reported a vaccine injury, and 5% are still injured. Nobody can argue with his numbers. Nobody can argue his numbers are anecdotes, because they were confirmed in the EU LAR database and published in the BMG. 37% had adverse events, and 4.4% of his patients had a flare-up of their disease after vaccination. Also, he's had 12 patients die following the jab. Normally in his patient base, he'll see 1 or 2 deaths a year. So if there is question of whether all-cause mortality goes up or down after the jab's rolled out, his numbers make it crystal clear. This is aggravated data from dozens of doctors in his practice. 0.33% excess mortality rate among his patients after the vaccines rolled out. However, this is likely at an undercount because he's not the primary care physician. This suggests a kill rate many times higher than the 0.2% we estimated from the VAERS database. All right? Go look this up. There's a video you can watch with Dr. Robert Jackson explaining all of this. The blood clotting, the ability to treat with a 30-minute infusion of stem cell derived exomes, like all the shit that they weren't giving us and weren't telling us about, because I thought this was a joke, right? Like, we got a wave coming, the midterms. Clearly that's happening. What's happening in Georgia with the early voting and the GOP race, it's alarming, Okay? People are coming out and they're not going to let this happen. The problem is the Biden administration has this radical agenda that they're taking on to the world stage. $33 billion they're about to give Ukraine for 5 months. Why are we there? Why are we in that fucking war? Okay? Why? $33 billion? Let's protect our borders. Let's make our fucking country, this country, great. All right? I'm not going to say great again because I just say great. I don't care if it's a fucking... I'm over the politics of it. I want honest people helping hard-working people protect their families and earn an honest fucking living. That's all I got. Let's talk about hockey. In most years, you would think there would be more series or a couple more series like the Colorado-Nashville series. We're at a deadlock across the board. You were at the Edmonton Kings game last night.
It was.
That series is a coin toss at this point.
We could, theoretically, if we win the next 2 games, they would have outscored us still by 6 or 7 goals. So it was pretty tough. Friday night was pretty tough, but Sunday night was the best hockey game I've ever been to in my life.
Well, that's why like Leaf fans are so torturous, okay? That's why you're crazy people, all right? The playoffs changes every single night. A series is not done until a series is done. That's why it goes 7 games, all right? You lose momentum, you gain momentum. The team that can stay the most even-keeled, all right, through the ups and downs of a series wins the series. What I saw with William Nylander last night in Toronto, did you watch the game?
I watched the condensed game.
So,
I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Nylander, he lets up on a hit against somebody, and I don't know what point it was.
He bailed out completely in the corner. I think I saw it on your story,
on my story, right? Yeah. That's concerning, okay? What's more concerning is William Nylander's body language after he scored the first goal. You're in the playoffs, mind you. This isn't game 68 of the regular season. You're losing 5-0. I believe teams in the NHL this year during the regular season have come back from a 5-goal deficit. We have a different league now. Nylander scores and he goes and pouts in the corner. He almost pouts so much Tavares felt bad about congratulating him for scoring. If I'm Sheldon Keefe at that point, I fucking tear a strip off William Nylander and go, what are you fucking, what? You don't want to come back in this game? You don't want to not only come back, do we not want to finish the game strong so that we go into the next fucking game with a little bit of a good feeling? Like, hey guys, we lost that game, but we dominated them in the third period. I would have fucking torn a strip off William Nylander. That's why Sheldon Keefe is out of his league. Some reporter asked Keefe, did you see the clip? Why he started one of his worst defensemen? A Toronto reporter asked Sheldon Keefe this.
No, I didn't see this.
Spit and Chickless posted it. They said, why did you start one of your worst defensemen? And he goes, well, who's one of my worst defensemen? And the guy said, Hall. And Sheldon Keefe sort of like pouted and said, well, that's your opinion. Like, that's a moment to say, you know what? You know what Hall brings to our team?
Yeah.
You get your fucking team excited about every single answer that you have, right? It comes from the top down. And when Kyle Dubas started fist pumping after fucking the second goal in game 1, I knew that things hadn't changed in Toronto. And I'll say it today. Something tells me the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to win this series. Toronto might win fucking game 5, okay, in Toronto. I'm not worried about Tampa going to Toronto in game 7 and winning this game. I don't think what I saw out of William Nylander is a good sign, and I think Leaf Nation need to be upset about it. What do you think about the New York Rangers?
You know, it makes me nervous how it's going. I know Ranger Nation is kind of complaining about officiating and sort of there's a lot of kind of whining about it. I think at the end of the day, what needs to happen is that they need to play better team defense and they need to finish when they have the opportunities. And it doesn't seem like they are. It seemed like they were looking at a third-string goalie and thought that they were going to just kind of steamroll him. And
yeah, I've heard the argument. A couple of people have said to me, like, what the fuck is wrong with the Rangers? They can't beat a third-string goalie. So, yes, Louis Domingue was a third-string goalie. But currently, he's a starting goalie in the NHL playoffs. So, you have to understand, just like Bennington and some of these guys that have had unbelievable stories happen to them. Louis Domingue today is a starting goalie in the NHL. He thinks like one, and I hope he's acting like one. So the New York Rangers aren't playing a third string goalie. You can't have these mindsets of like, oh, what the fuck? They should be steamrolling them. No, guys rise to the occasion in the playoffs. Louis Domingue might go on to have a great career, and it might start with this series. But you need to win. You can't take shifts off. You have to be consistent, all right? You have ups and downs. How do you react from those ups and downs? That's what I'm more worried about. What other series do we find interesting right now? Obviously, the Washington-Florida one is a. I mean, Washington has winners in their dressing room. They've won a Stanley Cup. They know the ebbs and flows. They know that it's a 7-game series. Is there some panic in Florida's room right now? Do the guys like Barkov, who haven't lost that much, where are they? Do they need to step up more? Is it more about what they're saying in the room than on the ice? I don't know. How has the goaltending been in that series? I haven't really been watching it.
I think it's the same thing. It's sort of like I wouldn't put it on the goaltending, just like for the Rangers. I wouldn't put it on the goaltending. I think they just take shifts off. I think they don't have the urgency.
Yeah. Yeah, the Shesterkin, the 4 goals.
Yeah.
Those 4 goals that he got pulled on.
Yeah.
The first, I mean, they were shitty goals that I don't think any goalie could have stopped.
All the goalies that have had those troubles, Quickie got pulled one game. Marc-Andre Fleury's had a couple games where, I mean, it seems to me like there's some shifts being taken off.
Right. Minnesota, St. Louis, it's a hell of a series.
Great series. Did you see the Jordan Kyrou goal?
That kid is just elevating, like, he's going to win a Hart Trophy, I think. I think he'll win an Art Ross Trophy. I think he is pure dynamic offense. That kid, that goal was fucking out of this world.
Unreal.
Good. Out of this world. So they went with Binnington.
They did.
Okay, and how has Binnington played?
Bennington played well.
Okay, so that was his first game back in.
Yep. Coach had a hunch, and I think it's probably a good hunch.
And let's see if he can ride him and he can get hot now and get excited and he's back in the spotlight.
And he has the experience for that run, and I think he understood why he didn't start game 1 or 2. But when his number gets called, I think he's going to step up to the plate, and that's going to be big trouble for Minnesota.
Here, Crosby, Malkin, Letang. They've played together for 16 years. They are the only 3 players that have ever played together for 16 years.
Wow.
If you don't think that can get you over some humps, you might not win the Stanley Cup, right? Because you guys are older and you don't have as much steam anymore. But you can certainly win the first fucking round and upset the New York Rangers. I hope Pittsburgh beats New York, and I'll tell you why. Because I think in the long run, it'll be the best thing that happened to the New York Rangers, to Igor, to all those guys in the room. If they're going to become a dynasty and win multiple Stanley Cups, because that's the goal, then I want them to lose this year, because that will be a major league wake-up call for them. That, yeah, you can't take shifts off. And every single shift should feel like it's your last. And you should be having fun and fucking flying. And when you have a down point and you get, you got to bounce back, you have to stay positive and keep it moving.
To your point about the Rangers kind of maybe needing this loss in the first round, or maybe it could be beneficial, that's to your point about the Lightning. They got swept by Columbus the year before they went back-to-back, and they haven't lost a cup since that happened.
Yeah, you're right. We have Carolina-Boston.
Yeah, so Brad Marchand's leading the entire NHL in points.
When did that happen?
Last game, he just went off, and, I mean, he's got 9 points. Granted, he's played 4 games. Toronto's only played 3.
Yeah.
So, it's not even numbers, but...
yeah, he broke out.
But in the same way, he's been there. He shows up when it's time. And, it's just been exciting to sort of see those players and players that we've always revered kind of turn it up when it matters.
What I was most excited about the Tampa game last night is Braden Point looked like the old Braden Point. And it wasn't just for a couple of flashes. He consistently had shifts where he was skating, making those plays with the puck, beating guys, taking them wide, outside, cutting in. I got a feeling. I don't know. I got a feeling, and maybe those guys, fuck. I don't care what happens. I just want them to beat Toronto. I don't care if they lose in the second. I don't care what happens. I just need them to beat Toronto because I love Brendan Shanahan. I don't think he's picked the right horse in Sheldon Keefe or Kyle Dubas has picked the right horse. I love Nylander. I remember him coming out on the ice after practice when I played for the Rangers. His dad's a great guy. But that comes from leadership, and it's the best time of the year, and you got to play like it every single shift. Charles Barkley on TNT basketball last night talking about the Chris Paul. Something happened with, is it Chris Paul? Yeah, Chris Paul's mom. I don't know. Something happened. Barkley, what I'm about to say is that TNT hockey sucks, okay? The panel is so boring. They don't talk about anything. They all try and maybe this is first year nerves and these guys are trying to figure it out. But we're in the playoffs now, guys. We need you to ramp it up. Anson Carter's mumbling. He talks about things that he just talks about things that have nothing to do with what anyone's talking about at the present moment. I'll tell you, Gretz has actually become a shining light on that panel who I feel like Gretz is like, hey, it's playoff time. Like, let's get serious. And he wants to talk hockey. And these other guys, they're all over the fucking place. It is the worst panel ever put together in the history of professional sport panels. Barkley talks for minutes. He goes on air and says, you want to know how I want to deal with unruly fans? I want to fight them at center court for 5 minutes. I want us to sign waivers. Nobody's going to get sued. We're going to fight. Okay? And Shaq's like, "What? You need 5 minutes?" He goes, "No, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to jab. I'm going to fucking stretch it out." That's the difference. All right? That is the difference. It just blows my mind. Pierre Maguire got fired from the Ottawa Senators. I forgot that the Ottawa Senators hired Pierre Maguire. What the fuck did they hire Pierre Maguire to do?
Yeah, so as vice president of player development, and he was fired less than a year after.
That's a big job.
It's a big job.
That's a big job. So he's got 2 more years left. He's going to get paid for if you kiss enough ass, you can have a lifetime of jobs in the NHL. If you just brown nose and play the game with the old boys, you'll always have a job. You'll probably have 2 jobs. You'll have the job you got fired from and the job that you just got. That's how it works in the NHL.
Well, there was big news today. Barry Trotz got fired.
Oh, Trotz got fired. So
that's a mistake.
It is, but I think Trotz wants out. Honestly, I think Trotz is done with the intensity of Lou. I think Trotz wants to go coach a team where he can have fun with his team. And he doesn't have Lou breathing fucking dragon's breath over his shoulder the whole time. I think that maybe listen, you don't fuck with Lou. He'll cut you. And I think maybe he got wind of it and he wanted to do what he needed to do before Barry Trotz left Lou. Don't forget these guys are all cutthroat motherfuckers when it comes down to it. Trotz goes where? He goes and takes Gerard Gallant's job if New York doesn't win in the first round, because this isn't a friendly business. I would much rather Barry Trotz coaching that team than Gerard Gallant. I mean, Gallant's still got Ryan Reeves in the fucking lineup. All right, he pulled Igor. I don't know why he pulled Igor. He let in 4 goals, but like, the kid's a kid. Let him fucking learn from that. Don't pull him. Let him dig out of that, and possibly you come back and win the game because you tied the fucking game. So why'd you pull him? If you had said to you're going to go into the overtime or the third period tied, you would have said, okay, I'm leaving Igor in. It's just a guarantee. You know,
it was a big mistake.
Don't always these guys aren't as smart as you think, okay? Everyone gets excited about it. Book your cameos, okay? Sign up for the fucking Patreon. It's $6. Even if you don't even go on that often, help the cause, okay? We're trying to run a business here. Spreads.ca. I have been betting. I haven't been betting officially because I'm not in Canada. I said the other night, not last night, but the night before for Game 2, Tampa, or was it, I said 5-2. It ended up being 5-2 for Toronto. Now, if you had it took the over, you still would have hit the over, which I hit the game before. All right. So in my opinion, I'm 2 for 2 on spreads.ca. Okay. I know the team personally. I'm going to be giving you updates this week. All right. If you want to bet, if you want to put a little juice on a game, do it with my friends at spreads.ca. Okay. I can tell you, you're going to get paid. You're not going to have any bad karma. They're not in Gibraltar. They're not in fucking Costa Rica. These guys have deep pockets, and you're going to be taken care of. All right. More on my Instagram because I've been doing more direct, day of game bets, what the odds are. We're going to put some juice on it. You're going to go to spreads.ca to place your bet. We're also creating some more bets. And I believe that is starting with game 6, Toronto-Tampa. We're going to have some personalized bets. I got to get on the phone with the guys today. Episode 7, no gruffs given. Thank you, Michael. I'll see you next week. Sunlight is the best disinfectant, FYI. Dropbox Dave, it's been a pleasure. Episode 7, we'll see you guys next week.